Media is something very different from social media. Okay, you maybe a section of your generation see the social media as an alternative. Firstly, if you look at the radio tapes, by the way, if you actually chronologically sequence it, headlines today played these many months ago on tape. It's actually after it appears in the print media that the real hangama starts. It's when Open and Outlook publish them that the real impact takes place. See, understand, what happens is that social media gives us the sense of being very liberating. And to some of us, I guess it is. But one shouldn't over-romanticize or get carried away. For instance, I've seen articles saying that Twitter caused a revolution in Moldavia. Twitter accounts in Moldavia are 72. People actually come onto the streets not motivated. See, one of the second problem with the social media kind of issue, nothing wrong with it. I'm all for it because I believe that you have to use every means included. Tell me one thing, 30 years, I remain in the mainstream media. I fight for my space here. I'm not going to give up my space. Okay? I will use that media as well. I will use another media as well. I will use the mainstreams and the EPWs as well. I have not used Twitter and really have no overwhelming urge to. But in fact, the problem there is there are Facebook pages run in my name which I have nothing to do with. There are Orkut communities run in my name which I have never heard of. Okay? Now, anybody can do any damn thing of those. Yeah. So I'm saying there are limitations in terms of, by the way, actually India's internet penetration is extremely poor, and by the way, it's one of the reasons why the Indian print media still grow. They're collapsing all over the world. In the United States, they've collapsed. In Europe, they're clinging onto the precipice. In India, they're growing, because literacy rates are growing slowly, very slowly, but they've grown over 25 years with the National Literacy Mission and activities like that. Second, a neo-literate, there is a sense of wonderment at holding a newspaper and reading it, which has to be seen to believe. As a rural reporter, I have had that experience. Third, it's a relatively cheap thing. Fourth, internet penetration in India is so low, and broadband penetration is abysmal. For all the bragging we do about IT superpower, India and everything else, it's a very tiny circle. So, if you can use it, use it. Please do. But understand that the large movement in the radio thing came when Open and Outlook printed it, right? You know that those tapes have been around 9 months. So that's one thing. When I'm talking about alternative media, I'm talking about media that are run, for instance, and in that sense, your definition works, which are not run on the basis of profit at any cost. Okay, to that sense, this would be accommodated under that. There are one of the beautiful traditions in India is small journals, local journals that are extremely important to people in a given area, that fight about human displacement in one place, that fight against bauxite mining in another place. They're very small journals. When we go to those areas, we go and meet the journalists of those journals and learn what they're doing. That's how we work. That's how we function. So, but one thing about Indian media and alternative media, I can't help being a teacher again. In the history of the Indian media, the mainstream media were the alternative media because you were fighting British rule and your media were the child of the freedom struggle. So therefore, the Indian media to me are the creation of the freedom struggle and the legacy of my people. Why should I give it up? Why should I give it up to the head of South Asia McDonald's? Okay, I'll fight to keep that. I will do everything. I will fight in as many media spheres as possible. We do not have the luxury, you and I do not have the luxury of fighting only on one front. That's the first thing. PR agencies, no, you're not doing anything wrong. You are doing what you are assigned to do. Somebody asked me the question about the PR agency. Okay, yeah. You are being given an assignment. You are a public relations agency. By the way, Neera Radio was doing what she considers her job. Okay. Now, if you are a public relations agency and you are asked to produce, mold this image for this person, of course that is your assignment and that is your job. The point is that, as I said, this industry was run, paid news was run by the media, by the newspapers, by the channels. They created it. Okay. Then the politicians fell in line. Look, politicians are not dying to pay money. They're dying to make it. Okay, that's the. Okay, they're not falling over themselves to give you money. And so when confronted with the situation of a media blackout, then the political class went to the PR agencies. So that's how it came. I'm saying the corruption began in the newspapers and the channels. It's not with you. You are doing. Look, it's like tomorrow there's an artist in the PR agency or in the advertising agency who has to do a layout. Do I hold him responsible for this activity? Of course not. But then, where I do hold the PR agency responsible is that it's part of a complex in the media. I'm looking at ownership, who controls. I'm not talking about, see, for instance, will I take responsibility for everything my paper runs? Not a chance. Not a chance. Likewise, you don't have to take responsibility for everything your PR agency does. Okay, let me tell you that first of all, let me say that some of the things that I found out about the PR agencies and how they were doing come from former students who are working in PR agencies. That's how we got that story, for God's sake. That's how we got that story on the role of the PR agencies. About entering the media when times are bad. You know, what problem again with journalists, apart from bragging about their contacts, their access, their influence, their impact, there's also a tendency to romanticize what happened when they were younger. The good old days. Listen, there were plenty of bad old days also. There were good old days in the past and there were bad old days in the past. But what has happened, and you're right, my sympathies are entirely with you. You're right, what has happened is the process of corporatization has matured much further than it did in my time. We could get away with a hell of a lot, and that's the lesson. That's the damn lesson. We were not better than you. We were not better than you. We had more play. We had more space. Do you know, I worked 10.5 years as the deputy chief editor of Blitz. When a Times of India reporter found his story killed, when an Indian Express reporter found his story killed, they would come to us and give us the story, and we would front page it, and we would time it with that reporter. Of course, we put it on his grandmother's name or something. And one day before the story would come, that reporter would tell his boss, you know, I told you that was an exclusive. Today I met these guys from Blitz, they've also got it. And the next day it would be there. Then the Times of India would be forced to cover it. Just like the radio tapes, when 2 publications came out with it. So in my time, that space was much more. It was not that we were better journalists than you or worse journalists than you. And this brings me, as I said, you made a fantastic point and a fantastic question. How we work those autonomous spaces that are left. The job of the challenge for the good journalist in the current situation is, it's a form of guerrilla warfare, guerrilla journalism. When they burn one forest, you run to the next. You're pushing the envelope. Be clever about it is the only thing I can tell you. Don't get your head chopped off.